This is a video of Ovingham Level Crossing created in 2014, and it shows pedestrians running over the freight train line in order to catch a suburban train. So the central platform is between railway lines. Now the issue is, with the future upgrade announced in 2020, are they going to stop pedestrians having to run over the freight line? One of the realities of the freight line is that if XPT trains, which really should be running in South Australia, but for some strange reason, when the country lines were given to the Commonwealth stopped running trains to places like Port Augusta and Port Pirie and to Two Wells, that the standard gauge line is going to be duplicated. As we'll see in a moment, the video is going to show the same platform in 2020. This is Adelaide, the Greater Adelaide, at a height of 17 kilometres, showing the railway system in red and the Oban in yellow. And we can see that the rubber lines here are disguising the fact that there are two different gauges here. The standard gauge, which is the XPT trains and intercity trains on the standard gauge, and at the moment this is the what's called the North Line, or now called the Gawler Line, which was built at the same time as they built back in early times the line to Port Dock Railway Station. And this is Ovingham Station on the Gawler Line. The standard gauge trains don't stop at Ovingham anymore. We, down the bottom here, can see that we are at a distance where this area is 800 metres, and recently the state government, through Minister Knoll, announced that buses should be set up so that pedestrians would be walking 800 metres to catch a bus. So if that's the case for buses, it must be true for trains as well. So that the Minister of Transport believes that all these people in this view, including people wanting to go to the swimming centre, should be walking there. We've heard of Pedestrian Orientated Development, and what's happened is this section of Prospect City Council has been rezoned, and that house which we just saw a moment ago in 2020 is on the market. And where there was a single house where probably 3 people live, if you look carefully at the sign, they're going to have 10 apartments there. So the number of people will go from 3 or 4 people to 40 people living in that position. So this whole section here has been rezoned to take account of what's called Pedestrian Orientated Development, TOD. The belief that the presence of the railway station here will encourage higher densities. But also, what about on the western side? Well, they're still going to have to cross over the broad gauge line as fast trains and freight trains travel through there. So this is where the school is around here, where those students we saw earlier are going to school, and other people over here would want to be catching the train, or people on the bus routes on Torrens Road might want to change from the bus to catch a train out to Lower McEwen Hospital or to the Levels campus, or people from the northern suburbs might want to get off the train to catch a bus or walk to the swimming centre here, or if the Adelaide Crows redevelop it as a sports ground for them, then go for the Crows. But the key thing is that the current plan does not have any integration occurring between the bus system and the rail system, and pedestrian orientated development is being ignored by the current development proposed at Ovingham. This is the Pym Street level crossing, where we can see the behaviour of freight trains all through the day when they have to negotiate their own particular schedules. They don't go through very quickly, they go through very slowly, and so there are huge long delays. And if you live on the wrong side of the tracks and there's no pedestrian overpass or underpass, you can be waiting for 7 or 8 minutes while a freight train goes through, only to have a local train come through at the same time once the train's been there. So you can have quite long delays trying to catch your trains when you're on the wrong side of the tracks, when there's no overpass or underpass. This is the Pym Street level crossing, which is 3 level crossings north of the Ovingham level crossing. Here there are no pedestrians because there's no railway station. This is the state government's video released showing the upgrade at Ovingham. We can see that the cars no longer have to wait for freight trains to go through or passenger trains to go through. So the motor cars have been dealt with, but pedestrians have been ignored. There's no, as we'll see in a moment, no change being made. At ground level, pedestrians will still have to cross over the railway line and wait for the trains to go through before they can cross over to catch a train in the middle platform. These trains on the ARCT track, the freight trains and the GAN trains and so on don't always go at 80 kilometres an hour. They can go as slow as 4 kilometres an hour as they meet the particular requirements, particularly when they don't have to worry about level crossings, and pedestrians are the least of the worries of the railway systems at the moment because they have other requirements. This is in great contrast to what's been done at the Royal Adelaide Showgrounds Station further along the Adelaide Metro system. This is the Adelaide Showgrounds Railway Station, where there are 3 tracks of suburban trains, and this track is the extension of the XPT trains and intercity trains, which should be running on standard gauge from Adelaide to the regional cities and other cities, which I've mentioned perhaps should be duplicated, but at the moment we're looking at Adelaide at the Showgrounds Station, and if I start the video we'll see the train coming in, and at this point it's a diesel train. The thumping noise of the diesel being replaced in the future out of Gawler by the smooth quiet noise of electric trains. The continuing wires for electric train are here, and we can see that there's a pedestrian overpass with some stairs and lifts so that people with wheelchairs and people who are disabled and other people can safely cross over the top of the continuing wires and catch their trains safely, and it not be delayed by any busy freight trains or slow trains which are on the wrong side of the track for them to catch their trains. It suggested the same thing should be done at Ovingham. If TOD, Transport Orientated Development, has any rationality, it must also be implemented with top pod pedestrian orientated development, where there are safe ways of people to catch trains without having to walk over the rail tracks.